Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Facebook Live. Sorry about the last go around. I had a little bit of trouble with the computer. We'll wait just a few minutes while everybody joins us. This week, we are going to be focusing on the Winter Woods bundle and also the Dashing Deer bundle. Hopefully that's not too bright. I changed my lighting around a little bit, so I hope that isn't going to be a problem. But these two bundles coordinate very well with each other, and I would recommend using these in your business of making cards or just for fun. I know these are two of my favorite sets, and so I'm going to share a few cards with you tonight, and I hope that you enjoy them. The first card that we're going to make is this card here, and there should be a lot of glitz and glam to this. Again, it looks a little bright. I'm not sure what's happening with my lighting tonight. But I'm going to go ahead. I'll turn the camera down, and hopefully this solves the problem. So bear with me just a minute, and I'll flip you around. Okay, let's see if this makes a difference. Hope everybody can see the card now. You'll notice that we use the Winter Woods stamp set in gray behind. I use the farmhouse paper that's in the holiday catalog. And then I use glitter paper that is in our main large catalog. And this is a really cute set when you add ribbon and you add the snow. You could even use some Wink Estella on here to really sparkle things up. So I'm going to show you how to make this card tonight. I've gone ahead and I punched out some of the pieces with the Big Shot, and I'll show you later how we go about doing this. So I have here my tree that is punched out. I have my deer that is already punched out. And I also have my little deer that's already punched out. Now, when you look in the set, normally the deer is facing this direction. The trick to that is you turn your glitter paper upside down when you're cutting it out, and then he'll be facing in this direction. So it kind of looks like the two deer are looking at each other. Now, when you cut out the Christmas trees, this is a very unique set, and I'll show you the dies. You have a large die that cuts the exterior of the tree. Then you have a smaller die, and this die will cut the overlay of the tree. And by overlay, let me show you how that looks on the back side of this glitter paper. You can see it cut little branches out for us. And then all you have to do is just poke those through the other side here. Hey, Christy. Thanks for joining tonight. We're just getting started on our first card. I'm just making these branches pop up. And then a little trick, because with these delicate images like this, it's very difficult to get glue on them. So what I do, and hopefully I brought it over to my table here. Oh, let's see. I don't think I brought it over. But I usually have a silicone mat. Make sure I don't have it underneath me because I'm notorious for doing that. It's probably somewhere here on my table. But you can take your silicone mat, and let's just pretend this is it. This is just an extra piece of foam out of my stamp case. And if you take your liquid glue and put some on your paper there, and then you take a sponge, I'm going to have to use one sponge that I'm using for something else, but that's okay. And you take your sponge here and dip it into the glue, and then turn your tree over, and you can just dab the glue on this. And then we can stick it to the bigger portion of our tree, like so. And it works out very well. This has to dry a second. You can also try to use adhesive and then kind of just flip them up afterwards, but I found that this works better. Just putting a little Tombow on there. Okay, so I'm going to set our Christmas tree aside for now and move my gluey pad out of the way. And in order to make this card, I cut a little snowbank here that we're going to use. And before we even get to that point, we are going to get our smoky slate out. And excuse me for just a moment because I'm missing a stamp set. You ever have one of those days? Well, today's mine. And I'm just going to make sure this is clean here using our Stampin' Chamois. And it may look bad, but it cleans awesome. You just rinse it out with cold water. That way I can ensure that my stamp is clean. So I'm going to open my smoky slate, and we're just going to ink up our stamp. And I'm going to place these stamps so they're just under the rim of the paper. And I have to stamp it twice, which is not a problem here. You can kind of tell where the trees go. And I may even just offset these a little bit and make them a little higher. You know, when I have a ubu. Well, there's two sides to everything. You can see I make mistakes also. Sometimes if you push too hard, you end up with that. So we'll go a little bit lighter this time. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to take my snowbank that I cut, and there's several sets of framelits that include the snowbank, and let me show you those in the holiday catalog. The Farmhouse Christmas has a snowbank framelit that you can make snow with. And let me find the set we're using here. And so does the In the Woods framelit dies. So both of those have this little snowbank. Now, I will tell you, you can use both of them together, and it creates a whole different look for snow. But this would be the set that we're using tonight here. The trees, and we'll use some of these other trees. There's little pine branches here, and these pine cones have to be one of my favorite. They look so good when you are stamping them and cutting them out with the framelits and gluing them on the tree. They look so real. But that's the set we're using. It's on page 27. So I'll go ahead and set that aside. And I'm going to take and glue down our snowbank here. And I'm just putting it down at the bottom of the paper. We'll use some snail. Now, for those of you who are big Fast Fuse fans, I don't know if you've seen, but they updated the clearance rack. And on the clearance rack, they have Fast Fuse refills, and they also have the Fast Fuse in its entirety. So don't miss out on those if you check that out on my page here. There's a link to get you there. Okay? So now that we have our snowbank. Now we're going to glue on our tree, and I'm just going to use some more snail on this. I'm not going to pop it up because it's already three-dimensional. I just want to lay it on the corner here. And, oh, and before I did that, I missed a step. I'm sorry. I want to put my ribbon on first. And this ribbon is in the big catalog as well. I think I can just pop this right back up. The little stinker got me. Because we have to have more sparkle, right? Just going to pull this around a little bit to give me even amount. And I always turn it this way because then my bow comes out a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oops, and I think I went the wrong direction, and I did. I'm telling you, it's one of those days, guys. I will get it right yet. There we go. That's much better. And I just do the 2 loops and then tuck it through the hole. Pull it. And then we can kind of make it a little bit smaller and get rid of some of our excess that we don't want. Make it a little bit smaller. I don't want quite that big. I'm fighting with it tonight. There we go. That'll work. Then we're just going to trim these little pieces. Now we can take our cut designer series paper, and this is from the Farmhouse designer series paper, and I'm just going to layer this on top. I'm going to use my snail to do that. And then I'm going to put my deer on. And for the deer, I do want dimensionals on them. So I'm going to put a dimensional on the little deer. And then on my other deer, that one's a little bit too big for him. I should have grabbed my small dimensionals. We'll just snip him off. And then we're going to fold our main piece of cardstock in half. Like so here. Now, if you do place a $30 order, I will send you all 3 of these cards that we're making tonight. And that is our first card. I hope everybody likes it. And it uses several products out of the catalog, as I mentioned. It uses the Dashing Deer bundle, and the Winter Woods bundle, and the Farmhouse paper. And then the ribbons in the main catalog. And I'll try to put numbers on my Facebook page so that you can easily pick these items out. Okay, so here's our 2 cards. Let's see if I add a little bit of light here on those, if that helps. That sparkle is just something else. I don't know if that helped or not. I don't think it did. I think it made it worse. Just trying different things. Like I said, I changed my lighting and it doesn't look quite as clear tonight. Okay, so we're going to set those aside. And the next project that I have for you it's another card, and it's using the same stamp set. Let me bring it up a little closer, maybe you can see it better. But it's thinking of you this season. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do the winter, the northern lights behind, and then we'll go ahead and we'll cut out the tree, and I'll actually show you how to cut that out. I should put away my ink before I get it on something else. So let's go ahead and we're going to get started. Now the colors that I'm using here, it's going to be Rich Razzleberry, Night of Navy, Balmy Blue, and Daffodil Delight. Now to make this card, your white cardstock is going to be cut at 5 by 3 3/4, and I do have a piece here already. I forgot one piece, but that's okay. We'll make do. Let me just make sure I got the right size here. Work. And then your next size of the Rich Razzleberry is going to be 5 1/4 by 4. And then your Night of Navy cardstock is going to be 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. Okay? So, with that being said, let's go ahead and we're going to get started. And I'm going to start first with using some sponges here. And I just take a full-size sponge and then I cut them into little piece parts. So I want to make sure I have all of the sponges in the right one here. And my Balmy Blue, I believe I used for this other one. So we're going to just try to make do there. Okay. So I'm going to start out with the Balmy Blue. And with the Balmy Blue, make sure I don't get the gooey side, I am going to, I can't believe I messed up and didn't bring that one piece over with me. Let me just check my other bin here to see if I tossed it in here. Well, we're going to do our own makeshift snow. I had one cut out to the same size so that I wanted to have like a little snowbank here to use. So you just take the same size paper and you create your own little snowbank. Actually, I'm going to turn that around. I want that big hill over there. And I'm going to start out, like I said, with the Balmy Blue. Sorry, I'm shaking the table a little bit. I need a tap lighter. And I'm just going to kind of smear this all over the Balmy Blue. And when you're first doing this, you're going to go, oh my God, this looks terrible. But as you blend in colors, and I'm going to open up my Daffodil Delight. That is one of my next colors. And I'm going to open up my Rich Razzleberry. And then I'm going to leave my blue shut for right now just because I don't want to mix up my two blues. So I still have my snowbank. And I'm going to take a little bit of Rich Razzleberry. And with this, I'm just going to kind of put it just in the center. You're probably going, oh my gosh, this is awful, right? Well, it's not going to be that bad. And we're going to take our Daffodil Delight. And we're going to come in and we're going to go right over the top of that. And things are starting to look a little bit better. Still not perfect, right? I'm going to come back in with some more Balmy Blue. Once you get that first layer of ink on there, things start to spread out a little bit more. Now I'm ready to bring in my Night of Navy. And I want to start on the sides here and work around the top. Now I still don't like the way that looks. I want to get a little bit more Rich Razzleberry in here. And I want it to go onto some of that blue. Now I'm going to bring in some more Daffodil Delight. And the Daffodil Delight is really the key to this, that and the Night of Navy, because the more you work that in, it lightens up the colors, and it really blends the colors nicely. And now I want a little bit more Night of Navy. And then some more Daffodil Delight. Gotta make sure I'm getting the right thing here. And a little bit more. The blue. Now I'm really starting to try to make those strokes on my sponge go upward. A little bit more at the top here. And then a little bit more of the Daffodil Delight. And that looks pretty good to me. So then I remove my snowbank. And that's what we have. Now I'm going to use the same trees that we used with the Going Gray, but this time I'm going to use our Memento ink. Other side of the table. Sorry again, guys. Now I'm going to stamp my Memento onto the trees. And I am going to let the stems come down this time. I didn't the last time, and I think it'll look pretty good. There we go. And then let me do up all my ink pads here. Well, I'm going to use Cherry Cop or Rich Razzleberry, but we'll put the rest of them away. Okay, and I'm going to bring in the Big Shot as soon as we get done stamping our sentiment. And I just have a small piece of Whisper White here that I'm using. And the sentiment I'm using is Thinking of You This Season. And I'm going to use the label punch to punch that out. I'm going to set that aside. Clean this one real quick so I don't get it on anything. Using our chamois there. Okay, now I'm going to get the Big Shot because now we're officially done stamping for this particular card. And with the Big Shot, hopefully it'll fit here. I don't want to get ink all over everything. We are going to punch out some trees. And I have a piece of white cardstock here. And I have the interior framelets and the outer framelit. Helps if I put it on the right plate. You want to make a sandwich. I do use thin die adapter on here. I'm just going to run this through. And of course, I put the handle on the other side. One moment. Let's turn this around, because I'm a righty. Hopefully I don't shake the table here too much. Okay. And now, we have our tree. And we have our inner portion of our tree. And I'm going to use our new tool here to pop this out of the die, like so. And then I'm just going to raise the branches here. Now when you're doing projects like this and you're using sponges, it's probably a very good idea to make sure that you wash your hands first. You'd hate to get all the way done with this and then have a big ink spot on your stuff. But I didn't bring my wipes over here, so we're just going to wing it. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue. And I'm going to use Tombow on the back of this, because like I said before, it's much easier using Tombow. And you can also do it like this if you don't want to use your sponge. Just put little drips. Because I don't want to put glue on where it pops out, so then it'll create a sticky mess. So just around the edges. That should do it. And then I'm going to bring the other tree, and let me get my stamp pad here. And I'm going to lay this right on top, like so. And I just line up the peaks of the tree. That looks pretty good. And then we're going to get our ribbon. And this ribbon is out of the holiday catalog. It's Rich Razzleberry. And I'm going to cut a small piece to go across the bottom into the back. And with this, I'm going to use my Tombow glue so I can make sure that it sticks real good. Just going to put a little bit in the middle here. And a little bit on each end. And then on the card, I'm just going to kind of lay it across the bottom here. And wrap it around the back side. There we go. And then I'm going to use dimensionals pop this up. Now, if you happen to be watching this from my Facebook group, I can't see your comments right now, so I'll respond afterwards. If you're watching this from my Facebook page, I can see your comments, so I can respond if you have any questions as I'm going through this. And I just took dimensionals and put on our label that we made. We're just going to stick this right here. I should have put the dimensionals on the opposite side. Let me pull this up. Sorry, folks. If your ribbon's going lengthwise, you want your dimensionals on the top and the bottom. So let's try this and see if this will work. I don't know if I can get these off. Yes, I can. So tonight you get to see Lisa making lots of mistakes. So y'all know that I'm human. There we go. And now we can stick it on there and it'll lay right across that ribbon perfectly. Then we're going to use our Tombow. Get rid of the ribbon here. We're going to use our Tombow on the back. We're going to stick this down on our rich raspberry piece. Then we're going to fold our Night of Navy in half. I should have brought my bone folder over, so we're just winging it. And I'm going to put Tombow on the back of this. And then we're going to just center it on our Night of Navy. That looks pretty good. And we have our second card. Okay. Now, for our next project, we're going to make this really cute Halloween card. Now, I haven't shown you everything because we're going to actually, on our card that we're going to make together, we're going to put these really cute characters on here to make it into a fun Halloween card. And I may just use 2 of them. But I thought it was really cute, and with this I used the fence from the farmhouse. And I'll tell you, when you're using this fence, this is what the framelit looks like. And it looks real detailed. If you run the framelit through sideways through your Big Shot, it does not cut perfectly. However, if you turn it long ways and run it through the Big Shot, and then use your Big Shot brush, it comes out just perfect. And you won't have any trouble. So let's go ahead and we're going to get started on this next one. Let me get my bin here. For this one, we are going to use Cajun Craze and crushed curry. We're also going to use, and I make these often, I've used it with other things. I took the framelit circle from the circles and I cut out a big circle on the same size paper that we're going to use because I want to create a mask again, just like we did with the snowbank, but for this big circle on our page. Okay, so I'm going to use that. We're going to use the Trick or Tweet again, and I use this quite frequently already. I love this stamp set. And I have all my pieces here. I pre-cut them, so I have my Cajun Craze cardstock, and that's cut 8.5 by 5.5. We're going to use some more of our blends, so I'm just going to get those out. I've gone ahead and I've cut out a little fence from the Farmhouse Framelits, and I've cut out these little trees from the Winter Woods Bundle Framelits. And then we have our black piece and our white piece. And then I have some other stamps that we're going to be using. And of course, sponges. So I'm going to set some of this aside for right now because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sponge using this mask. And when I sponge this one, see how my mask fits perfectly over the size of my paper? It is 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, and I'm going to start out with the crushed curry. Hopefully that's crushed curry. Hopefully I grabbed the right one. Well, we're going to soon find out. I may have used sponges for double things, so we're just going to go with it. So I'm going to start out crushed curry all over. And you're probably going, oh my God, that looks awful. But then when you bring in, oops, my mask slipped a little bit. Then when you bring in the Cajun Craze, and then you can go back to your crushed curry. And I'm just smoothing this all out. Till I get the image that I want. And that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to shut my 2 stamp pads up, my Cajun Craze and my crushed curry. And then the same stamp set, the tree stamp set that we were using before, we're going to use again with the Memento ink pad. I'm going to remove my mask. Isn't that just perfect? And I'm going to stamp my trees in this circle here. And if I want to make sure my trees are only in my circle, like I did with this one here, I need to put my mask back on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that because I really want them to be just in the mask circle that I've created. And voila. Then I'm going to get my 2 black trees that I cut out already using the woodland framelits. And I'm going to glue them down. And once again, I'm going to use my sponge. I'm going to have all these glue sponges. Normally I don't have a mess like this. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, a little bit of Tombow, and just kind of dab it on here. Just enough to get it to stick, and I can kind of move it around. There we go. And I'm going to put one on this side. And if there's extra Tombow, not to worry, you can just wipe it off. It'll dry clear. That one on this side. Then we're going to put our picket fence on. And like I said, I've gone ahead and I've cut that out already. And I'm going to put the adhesive on this as well. And I really like using the silicone mat. When I do this, it usually works a little bit better. But I forgot to bring it over. So I'm just going to kind of slide that because I want everything to offset a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good. I'm trying to push it down without getting ink from my hands on it because I am really inky right now. And then we're going to snip the excess off. Now it's time to put our little characters on. And I've gone ahead and I just stamped these and I used some of the blends to color them. So I used the gray blends for the elephant here and the rich razzleberry. For the cat, I've used our ivory and the gray blends. And then to finish up the little pup here, I'm going to use the rich razzleberry. I'm just going to slide those over so I don't get ink on it, to do his little cape. And for his hat, I'm going to do that in the dark gray. Whoops. Dark gray blend. Make sure this is gray. Nope, that's dark black. We don't want that. Here we go. And I'm also going to do his little nose. And I'm going to use the black to do the cat's nose. And then we have all of our little creatures done. And now I want to place them using dimensionals, provided I can find them. I'm going to place them on my card. Oops. And maybe I only want two. I think I'm just going to use the cat and the elephant. And then I'll save for the inside of the card the dog that we did. And then I have a stamp set from the Trick or Tweet. That says Scare Up a Little Fun. And we're going to stamp that in Memento. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere this to my black cardstock using my Tombow. Oops. Looks good. And then we're going to fold our piece of 8.5 by 5.5 Cajun Craze in half. And I'm going to glue this down. And here is our cute little card. I think it turned out adorable. So tonight we made 3 pretty cards. I think I put the other one away already. Let me grab it. We made 3 pretty cards. And if you would like to get these cards, let me clear off some of my mess here. If you would like to get these cards for free, all you have to do, using the host code that I'm going to provide on the link, you enter that host code when you're checking out on my website, and if you spend $30 or more pre-tax and shipping, I will send you these 3 cards in the mail. I hope you enjoyed tonight, and next week I'll have some other fun projects for you. Remember, next Wednesday night, it'll be a little bit later due to a class that I'm teaching. So I hope to get to you by 9:30-ish. So I look forward to talking to you then, and have a nice evening.